2025 trade deadline went by for the Chicago Bears, and while Ryan Poles did not make a flashy move, he made a functional one. But reportedly, he passed up on a move that would have been a bigger splash move. Is it the right move by Ryan Poles? And how did he show ultimate faith in Austin Booker? We'll take a look at that. Plus, Ben Johnson's comments on evaluation of Caleb Williams' season up until this point, and where do the Bears rank statistically heading into Week 10? We're going to talk about all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm your host, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. And so the trade deadline went by, and Ryan Poles did trade for an edge, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka is who he traded for. And, you know, it's a defensive edge that brings something that the Bears need as far as depth, right? And when you look at this guy and what he's done over it, he was a former first-round pick in 2021. He spent his first 4 seasons with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, where he had 138 tackles, 21 tackles for a loss, 15 sacks, 35 QB hits, and 2 forced fumbles and 1 fumble recovery. When you look at it, he signed a 1-year deal with the Browns this offseason where he hasn't had a sack up until yet. The Chicago Bears trade a 6th-round pick for a 1-year rental while getting him and a 7th-round pick back. This was a calculated risk by Ryan Poles, make no mistake about it, and it adds some much-needed depth to the Chicago Bears as far as on that edge, especially with Dominique Robinson hurt. As it stands right now, he is going to be making a return sooner rather than later. Dayo Odeyingbo is out for the remainder of the season. You do have Daniel Hardy, who has had some moments as well, and then we're returning Austin Booker. And Ryan Poles not making a bigger move, I think, is a big sign in the faith of what Austin Booker is going to turn into. And I think when we heard that the Bears passed up on another trade, it really kind of signifies that as well. So shortly after the trade deadline ended, it came out that the Chicago Bears, this is from Jordan Schultz, by the way, were among the teams that tried to trade for Jermaine Johnson from the New York Jets, and noted that the Jets wanted a 2nd-round pick for Jermaine Johnson. And that was just too much of a high asking price for what Ryan Poles wanted to do. Now, here's the thing, right? When you look at Jermaine Johnson, I want to take nothing away from him and what he is as a player. He has 1 sack on the season. He's 26 years old, 6'5", 255 pounds. This guy has had seasons of 7.5 sacks, 2.5 sacks. But when you look at it, he's only played 5 games this season, 2 games last season. And so to give up a 2nd-round pick for that, while it would have been a bigger splash move, I don't think is where the Bears stand at right now. We'll talk a little bit about why, but this ultimately, I think, comes down to the faith that Ryan Poles and Dennis Allen and maybe the Bears overall have in Austin Booker. Booker looked in preseason like he was ready to make a leap this season. That then got stopped by injury, which held him out the Bears' first 6 games. He then makes his first 7 games. He then makes his return in last week's game, in the 8th game, and he immediately makes his presence felt. And I've said this before. It's all about risk tolerance, right? And when you have a player that looks like they're up and coming, Ryan Poles looking at that and saying, hey, let's see what Austin Booker brings for the rest of the season. And then we can go out and attack it with, a better edge or whatever else if we feel he doesn't live up to that or this hype that's around it right now, he doesn't live up to. And I, for one, can't be mad at that, right? I get it. Bears fans wanted the splash move. When you look at some of the other moves that were made around the NFC or just the NFL as a whole, especially when you look at the Colts and the Eagles and the moves that they made, I get it. I get why being frustrated and even disappointed in the Bears not making a bigger move. But again, the thing that I've said that comes down to it as well, the Bears want to maintain their draft capital. And for a team that has not yet been a playoff team for sure, I've seen some Bears fans say, oh, we're going to be a playoff team this year. Yeah, but make sure that you're that, right? There's been a lot of teams that felt like they were something that ended up not living up to it. So the Bears and Ryan Poles wanting to make sure who this is, you have the draft capital, right? You have the ability in the offseason based on how the season goes to still use those picks to acquire somebody if you choose to do so. But doubling down and betting on Austin Booker, Montez Sweat's got a sack in each of the last 3 weeks. he's on the rise and really starting to catch his stride as well. Not going and betting the future for especially a second-round pick as things stand before you exactly know who this team is going to be. And even then, with all the injuries and stuff, you're already betting on that. So, listen, I want to make sure to say it's not that I don't understand if you're a Bears fan and frustrated that the Bears didn't do more at the trade deadline. Best believe I fully understand your plight. I understand where you are with it. I understand your frustration wholeheartedly. But, the Bears were never in a place where they were going to give up a first round or second round pick. And to be honest with you, I think that the Bears have so many holes right now that it looks like they're going to have to figure out on their roster next season that giving up picks in rounds 1 through 3 is not what you need to do right now. You have those if you need to give them up in the offseason. Especially when everybody's draft board falls and we know exactly where the draft picks are going to be, you may be able to go out there and get somebody. And I want to also keep in mind, you can find multi-year Pro Bowl caliber starters in rounds 1 through 3 if you scout correctly. Now, for some Bears fans, they don't necessarily have the biggest faith in Ryan Poles and his ability to scout certain positions. And I mean, granted, I can't knock you for that. I just be 100% honest with you. But this is where this team is right now. And I try to prepare you guys to say, I did not think that Ryan Poles or the Bears were going to make that big splash move. I've been saying that really since the offseason when the Trey Hendrickson and Max Crosby and all those things came up. I try to say I don't think the Bears are in the spot right now where they can give up that level of pick to try to make yourself a playoff team. I hold on to my personal adage in that I think when you have to make a big splash move just to solidify becoming a playoff team, you're making that move too early. Going all in too early can be just as detrimental, if not more so, than being too late. You got to time this correctly. I think what the Bears did here is they added some depth from a player that has provided some depth before, not so far this season, but he has provided some depth before. And you're also betting on one of your young up-and-coming guys to see what are they going to show you. Now you have the opportunity. The keys are given to you. What are you going to go out there and do? And I guess we'll see what happens with that. But, so that was the only move that the Chicago Bears made at the trade deadline. That's it. They didn't make a trade to shore up their cornerbacks. I don't know if that means that they feel like a Jalen Johnson or Kyler Gordon are going to be able to come back before the end of the season. I don't know if that's just ultimate, faith in like Gardner-Johnson or something like that, who we'll actually talk about here a little bit later on in the show. I don't know exactly what all that entails, but, the Bears are a little bit weak in that. And for Dennis Allen, a defensive coordinator that does like to have a lot of defensive backs to throw out there, and we've already seen Nashawn Wright is not him at all. Nashawn Wright has his moments. Of course, I want to give it like Nashawn Wright has his moments, but he's still not, that level to where you feel confident in Nashawn Wright week in and week out. I wouldn't think so. You have those questions that's still overarching and looking at this team. But I think, where things stand right now, the Bears, they made a solid move, and it is a solid move despite what some Bears fans will have you believe. And it just is what it is. It's a functional trade deadline for the Chicago Bulls. For the Chicago Bears. They went out there and got depth at a position they needed depth at because they lost Dayo. And now we get to see what this team looks like in Austin Booker. Like now all eyes are on Austin Booker because Ryan Poles, in a lot of ways, just gave you the ultimate sign of faith that you're going to go out here and make an impact for this Bears team at the edge position. And let's see if Austin Booker ends up doing that for this Bears team. He very well could. We shall see what happens there. But again, passing up on Jermaine Johnson for a second-round pick, I think that's just too, that was too rich for a lot of teams' blood, clearly, and them asking that. And we heard that. I was over on Bleacher Report doing a live stream, and James Palmer said over there, like, hey, teams have, on premium positions, they have a high asking price, and a lot of teams aren't willing to meet that. And it wasn't just the Chicago Bears in that case. But let me know what you guys think on that down below. How do you feel now that you've had some time to sit on the Bears trade deadline? Does it make sense to you? Is it still questionable to you? Are you still a little bit disappointed in the fact that Ryan Poles wasn't one of the GMs that made a huge splash move at this trade deadline where you feel like maybe he should have? Let me know that down below. With that said, to get back on the Bears, Ben Johnson talked about Caleb Williams, and he gave an evaluation of Caleb Williams at the halfway point of the season where he said this: there's a number of things I was pretty pleased with. It's looking more like I want it to look, and he wants to look like. I can think of one particular instance off the top of my head before halftime where we called a play and they ended up clouding it to the side of the primary, so that's not there. He gets through his progression and quickly dumps the ball to the back, and he's stepping up into the pocket. Now, we didn't throw our best ball. It was a little high and we didn't haul it in, but that was to me what we want this quarterback to look like. And he's playing within the timing and rhythm of the offense, trusting his feet and taking him through some progressions. There's been a lot made from naysayers, whatever, in regards to the progression that Caleb Williams is or is not making. And the one thing that we don't always are privy to is what Ben Johnson is asking of Caleb. Now, we do know coming into the season, he wanted to see 70% or challenge Caleb Williams to get to a 70% completion percentage. That's not going to happen this season, right? It's just not going to happen. But the other things, when we talk about going through progressions, Caleb Williams actually growing under center as well. These are all things, his recognition of the blitz. These are all things that Caleb Williams has slowly but surely started to put together and be better at, right? And the Bears that right now are 8 games into the season, we have 9 games left. Caleb Williams is 12th in passing yards. He's 18th in passing touchdowns. Only 4 interceptions on the year. A QB rating of what is he at? 93.5, right? So, things are starting to go better in his direction. All those things are up from last season. So Caleb is making progress. And the fact that Ben Johnson feels good about the progress that Caleb Williams is making, but what we know about Ben Johnson, he's not going to rest on just that. It's not going to be just the positive. He's going to also talk to Caleb Williams and continue to challenge Caleb Williams to grow in certain areas of the game. And it's up to Caleb to live up to that. But Caleb is progressing as a quarterback. We see it. If you look at this objectively and watch how Caleb Williams is from last year to this year, all the things that have changed, him being under center more and doing that, him picking up blitzes better and doing that better, him making the big plays. We still miss some of the gimmies. We got to get that together, of course, but those things are getting there. And I get it. There are a lot of people that were hoping that we drafted Caleb, he was going to instantly become the best quarterback in Bears franchise history, and we were going to go off and have one of the best quarterbacks, and he was going to live up to the generational title and all of that. The title of generational is earned by what you do in the NFL, not based off the potential that you have coming into the NFL. There are a lot of players with great potential that don't end up living or really amounting to shit. The fact is now we got the right people in the building to help challenge and grow Caleb Williams' game, and Ben Johnson is doing that. And Caleb Williams has so far responded to that pretty damn well, despite what some more knee-jerky fans would say and have you believe in regards to Caleb. In no way am I saying that Caleb Williams is perfect or he's done yet. He's not. He's not done growing as a quarterback yet. He has a lot of growth that he still needs to do, but he is progressing in that growth, and he's doing the things, apparently, that this coaching staff is putting in front of him to do. Doesn't mean that it's all going to be perfect all the time. Caleb has, of course, some of the shortcomings. You look at some of the missed gimmies by Caleb. If you get those, Caleb Williams probably has easily 3 or 4 more touchdowns and about 200, 300 extra yards. Like, that's just reality of it. But that part comes in the growth of it. And I am, again, as I was in support of Caleb Williams is 23 years old. 23. He turns 24 in 2 weeks, right? And so there's a lot of time still left for Caleb Williams to develop. And despite what some fans will tell you, start Taysom Bagent. Let's pull Caleb Williams. I'm over the Caleb Williams experiment already. You're going to have a long time to be over something, because it doesn't seem like the Bears plan on pulling Caleb Williams, and they still very much support and are very much invested in the development that Caleb Williams is going to bring to this team, as they should be as well. And that's a part in all of this that I think that sometimes some people miss. So we'll continue to watch it. We'll continue to grow. We'll continue to evaluate all of this. But as it stands right now, Ben Johnson evaluated Caleb Williams, and it seems like he's pretty happy with the progress that Caleb Williams is making as a quarterback for the Chicago Bears. And let's see what comes of that. Now, one of the players that we just acquired was Gardner-Johnson. And when you look at him in his first game, right, in just the first game of CJ Gardner-Johnson, he tied for a second on the team in total tackles with 6. He had a QB hit, he had a tackle for a loss, and 1 snap on 40 snaps that he played as well, right? And so this is a guy that is coming in and is trying to replicate as much as what Kyler Gordon was bringing to this team, right? Now, for what it's worth, in coverage, he did allow 3 catches on 4 targets for only 16 yards as well. And so, and I want to be clear here. Gardner-Johnson was not lined up against T. Higgins or Jamar Chase. He was in the slot, right? That's where Nashawn Wright and Tyreek Stevenson were. But Gardner-Johnson held his own. And that's what you want to see. He allowed 1 catch against Higgins at the goal line. That was extremely tight coverage. That was really good. And so, when you look at what the Bears needed and wanted from Gardner-Johnson. He's so far brought that. It's been a very small sample size so far, but I think that as a Bears fan, it's okay to feel good about what he's shown so far in the season. Again, at this point in the season, with major injuries, all you can try to do is add guys that can pick up your system quickly and that can bring something to your team that you're missing, lacking, or whatever else. And so far, Gardner-Johnson has done that. And this is why I was very positive on the acquisition of CJ Gardner-Johnson, because I think he brings a lot of stylistically what we want, and he brings a lot of the scheme things that Dennis Allen does want as well. And so as he continues to grow as a Chicago Bear, get familiar with these teammates, play off these guys, this is a guy that brings the edge. He's going to be able to be used in pass coverage, all that type of stuff. And that's a weapon that we need. And Dennis Allen is really good about getting the most out of those guys as well. So in the 1 week evaluation of Gardner-Johnson, which I haven't gotten to do yet because of everything else going on since Sunday's game, Gardner-Johnson looks pretty damn good, and he looks like he's ready to contribute at the areas that the Chicago Bears need him to contribute at. And considering that it's a midseason acquisition as a signing, not a trade, you didn't have to give up anything to get him. I think that this guy has the potential to bring exactly what we want to have, one of the best values considering all those things and how they're coming to the Chicago Bears. So really good there. I think it's really good to start off the season with that. We just got to see how it's going to continue, how Dennis Allen is going to use him. Dennis Allen is very familiar with him. He's familiar with Dennis Allen and his scheme and system. And so thus, this marriage between these two should be really good as far as us getting the most out of CJGJ between now and the end of the season. And hopefully, we're actually going to be able to use him as well in the postseason where we're going to need him. Hopefully, we get some other guys back as well over that time that we can get back out there on the football field. So things are looking pretty good. Now, with that said, and talking about things looking good, let's talk about where the Bears rank statistically heading into Week 10. Let's start with the Bears offense. The Bears offense continues, despite some shortcomings in the rush game and stuff like that, continue to be a top 10 offense in this league. The Bears are putting up 26.9 points per game, which is good enough for 6 overall in the NFL. Our passing offense, 234 yards per game, 10th in the NFL. Our rushing offense, surprisingly enough, the Chicago Bears I had to check this myself, have moved up to the second rushing offense in the league at 144 per game. Now, they're going to have to keep that up and continue putting out work to get that, but that's where they sit right now. Total offense. The Bears are 4th in total offense per game, averaging 378 yards per game. 4th best in the NFL. Third down conversion rate. The Bears are converting on 42.86% of their third down conversions. That's good enough for 8th in the NFL. Now, this is the spot where the Bears aren't as good at and where I need them to improve at. The Bears are 25th in red zone scoring at 51.7%. They got to improve in that. If you want to be a team in this that can win close games, as a matter of fact, that is the difference between being in a close game and the game not being close. Getting those red zone opportunities, I'd say that the Bears need to, from now to the rest of the season, the Bears need to be at least 65% in the red zone scoring for me to feel very comfortable about this team. Ideally, you want them to be higher than that. Once you get in the red zone, you need to be putting up points about 75% of the time, but I'll settle for how the Bears have struggled for them to get into that 65, 66-ish% area. But here's the thing that I tell you guys. The Bears offense isn't that bad off. And just to show that with a few solid weeks of a run game, how the Bears have moved from one of the worst rushing offenses to one of the best in the NFL, that just goes to show you how important and how much that can still be turned around. Now we got to see the Bears do it consistently for us to see it and rely on that. That's going to be something that we can do every day, every game. But the Bears are making those improvements in those areas, and it's paying off for the Bears offense to really start seeing an increase in where they're ranked at. The defense. The Bears are 6th in sacks allowed, and they're 5th in turnovers at only 6 turnovers and 14 sacks on the season. So that's where the Bears have also showed growth at this season. Got to give them much love for that. Defense. Different story defensively. The Bears are 29th in points allowed per game at 28.4. Our passing defense ranks at 5th at giving up 237 yards per game. Our rush defense is 5th at giving up 131 yards on the ground per game. And we're 26th in total defense. We're giving up 368.8 yards per game. We got to tighten that up. Third down conversions, though, we're one of the toughest teams to convert third downs on. We're only giving up a 34% third down conversion rate on the season. That is excellent. And for red zone defense, we're giving up 62% scoring in red zone That's 20th in the NFL. And of course, we're first in takeaways at 19, and 17 sacks on the season will have us tied for 21st in the NFL. I say all that to say this. The Bears offense is, I think, better than what sometimes people view it and it feels like. And the Bears defense statistically isn't as good as where it feels like they are at times either, considering how stout they play as the game goes on. These are things and areas where the Bears need to continually grow at for sure, but they are growing in those areas. And we'll see where things all finish out and shake out for the Bears as the season goes on. This is a team that is still in the thick of things in the NFC North and the NFC overall. And let's see where the Bears can take this as things go forward, man. But that's my time for today, man. I appreciate you guys so much, man. That's it for today's episode. The Bears may have not delivered a blockbuster move that some fans wanted at the trade deadline, but the front office did stay disciplined in what they're doing. They added depth. They maintained their long-term vision and draft picks. And Caleb Williams is progressing as well. Make sure you guys are following us at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. And like I like to end everything on, Chi-Town up, Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.